So, one of the things that obviously we're really excited about is our launch of the enterprise free trial on our website. If you go to data.world, you can see that we've got this nice hero takeover here, 14 days of data bliss, fully powered enterprise free trial, 14 days. You just hit treat yourself and you can actually go and sign up just with 2 fields here, your work email and optionally your phone number. You'll receive an email in your inbox that gives you a link to initiate your account. So it's really that easy. When you click that link in your inbox, what that's going to do is it's going to pop you over into a very quick and easy wizard here. Basically, it's just a 3-step process where if you don't have a personal account on data.world today, it'll give you the opportunity to do that. I'm going to go ahead and even just start to create an account here. If you already have an account on data.world, then it'll automatically skip this step. It may ask you to sign in. You can sign in with that existing account and you can go straight to step 2. So I'll go ahead and fill out step 1 here. You can see that obviously it's going to ask me to confirm my registration. But I can go ahead and now create an organization. And so the assumption here is that you'll want to probably name this after your team or after your company. In this particular case, obviously, I'm just going to call it something like Tim Gasper Webinar. We'll call it 3 because evidently I've created one called Tim Gasper Webinar before. And you can see that it's going to create an organization page that kind of becomes my team's homepage on data.world. And I'm going to use my own personal email that I just created in step 1 in order to sort of associate with that organization. When I go ahead and click that, you can see it's choosing our enterprise free trial plan. The final step here is actually we can go and select one of our data sources that we'd like to connect. As part of the enterprise free trial, we've already pre-bundled it with 6 of the most popular cloud data warehouses out there. In this particular case, I'm going to choose Snowflake, and I can very easily just type in some information here. I'll call this webinar connection, Snowflake webinar connection. I'm going to put in the name of my database, my username, and my password is already in here. I can hit test. You can see that it's validated that connection to my data warehouse, and I can hit configure to finalize. So literally in a matter of just 2 minutes, I created a personal account on data.world. I created an organization account for my company, and I have connected our first data source that we'd like to catalog, and it took literally just seconds. At this point, I can hit get started, and I can actually create a catalog data set using that connection that I just created. And so I can say, hey, let's share this with all of the organization, right? I can obviously share with no one to start if I want to kind of just iterate on this on my own, but I'll go ahead and share it with everyone. Let's call this Snowflake data, since that's what I'm exposing here. I can hit create. This is our data set for all our Snowflake data. I can hit add data. You can see this connection here that I had created, which is readily available on the bottom here. I'll say that we're going to create a live connection because we want to actually have this be a live catalog. And then I can navigate the schema of that environment, say, hey, let me select a few tables, a handful of tables, or let me go ahead and pull all of that in. You can see there's 124 tables here. And I click that, and now it's going to go ahead and queue that up. I hit continue, and now it's going and it's crawling all that information. What it does at this stage is it actually automatically is understanding the technical metadata around all the things in that database. It's doing statistical profiling and quality analysis. It's pulling in sample data, and it's automatically inferring basically how these different tables and these different files are structured so that they can immediately be used not only to expose that information as part of your catalog in your organization, but allow you to actually query and do analysis with that data as well. You've heard Jenny and several others mention this. We are providing not just a metadata view, but actually the ability to have governance around access and actually do some exploratory analysis as well, all through the same platform. So at this point, it takes a few minutes for it to pull in that data and do those statistical queries. what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to sign out of this account that I created. I'm going to sign in with a separate demo account where, you know, essentially the cake has already been baked. So we'll go ahead and
Tim,
sign in.
as you're doing that, I'd love to
Go
just
ahead.
jump in real quickly. This is super exciting for me as our CEO because this really is an industry first. I mean, we're the only enterprise data warehouse, which is cloud native and software as a service based. We're the only ones offering a free trial. We felt like that was very important to step up and do in this incredibly and challenging business environment for everybody. We're the only one that has published all of our enterprise pricing very transparently. You know, my co-founder and chief product officer, John Loynes, who you just heard from, wrote a blog post on that at blog.data.world, which we constantly update. And that's a really big deal. You know, that was something when we were talking with the Gartner folks and the Forrester folks, they were telling us nobody's ever done that in this industry. We felt like it was very important to be completely transparent, to allow free trials, and really lead in this industry in a time where leadership is very much needed. So I just want to say, you know, kudos to you and the team on launching that. I know it was a lot of work in a short period of time, given this crisis going on, but really well done. And I look forward to seeing the results of this and us helping a lot of people out there.
Thank you, Brett. Yeah, I know we're very excited about being able to put this out there and have people be able to use that. I mean, essentially, you know, we're exposing the full software for your use to be able to try as part of this trial. Obviously, as you can see, we've kind of focused on allowing you to connect with a cloud data warehouse as one of the most common things that we see all our customers wanting to connect to is they've got, you know, SQL Server or Snowflake or some key data warehouse where some of the most important and the most often used assets are. So that's what we say, like, go ahead and catalog that first. Let's get that in the system. But we've got a lot of other really great capabilities, some of which you'll see right now in the next 5 minutes here when I demo the broader platform. So if you're starting to use that trial, let's say you get one of your technical folks on your team to go log in, try it out, start to kick the tires on it. You know, if you want to try out our glossary, you want to try out our technical lineage, you want to try out some of these additional features connecting to Tableau and crawling Tableau, you know, reach out to us and we'll help you leverage your trial environment as well as our own experts at data.world to try out and explore some of that additional functionality. So at this point, I want to give you a quick tour of what it looks like when you fully deploy a data catalog and sort of connected it to a bunch of different data systems and organized it around your own business process, your own organizational structure, as well as you know, curated the most important assets and allowed people to collaborate around them. So when you log into data.world, the first thing that you notice is that it's a very different kind of experience than most enterprise software. And that's because, as you've heard this entire time today, we very much have oriented our software with a consumer mindset, right? What is the point of you know, investing in all of these data tools and saying that you're trying to push data literacy if the tool is cumbersome and difficult to use? It needs to be designed around the lowest common denominator. Right. And so this first view here, this homepage, is really meant to be like what we call Facebook for data, right? You can see you have this news feed in the center. It uses your own sort of activity and the things that are happening in your company and how people are using the platform to show you the things that it thinks is most important for you to consume. Right. And so you can see that I'm following some different people. All of these people have profiles in our platform. So this really is very much like a Facebook for data kind of experience. And I get a real-time feed of all the things happening across my organization, which I can explore, I can comment on. I can easily go and look at this from a group perspective as well. As you can see, Bob, he is one of the analysts at DemoCorp. And so there are a group of people that are specifically on the analyst team, so he can collaborate and see specifically what are the things that they are doing. But obviously at DemoCorp, there's a marketing group, a sales group, accounting group. There are different data assets that fall into each of these groups and are organized into those different groups. But this is also important from an access management standpoint because marketing folks should see certain things, salespeople should see certain things, and so on and so forth. So this is sort of that Facebook for data experience. There's also what we kind of think of as the Google for data experience. And so let's say that Bob is trying to understand more about the orders that are happening so that he can do some analysis on revenue and shipping costs and things like that, especially during this time with the COVID epidemic. It's really forcing them to do a lot more delivery of orders versus in person. And so, he's trying to understand what is the impact of this on their business. And so let's say he searches for order. Very quickly, he can understand sort of what is the definition of order with a business glossary, as well as be able to drill down into things like data or previous analysis that's been done around order data. You can also see that he has full ability to facet and narrow his search onto specific things, such as maybe he wants to avoid sensitive data, or maybe he only wants to look at approved assets. I'll go ahead and click order here so you can see what one of these glossary pages look like. Especially what we find with a lot of customers is when analysts are going to try to solve a business problem, one of the first things they need to understand is the business context. And even just at Demo Corp, the idea of an order means something different to sales. It means something different to operations. Finance and accounting and logistics have their own views of what order means. And so often the glossary is a key, especially early stopping point to understand more about what is this, what does it mean, how do I calculate it, and is this an approved use of this term? One of the next steps is often to see, hey, has analysis been done on this before that helps me understand this business problem? And what's great about data.world is not only are we cataloging data, but we're cataloging analysis as well. And so here you can see a Tableau dashboard that's been crawled, and I can actually hit view dashboard and get taken straight to Tableau and see that dashboard live. So everything is connected. But obviously, one of the key pieces is that I want to get access to data. And so I find that one of the key elements attached to orders is this concept of retail orders. I can learn about the data lineage of where this comes from, and I can see that it's coming from these different source tables. I can see that it's got these different columns in it of the data that I need, and I can very much quickly say, hey, you know what? This is the data that's going to help me solve my business question. Let me go ahead and explore it. And now I'll click this here. You can see that, that Snowflake connection we made earlier, we connected to all those different data sources. That becomes a data set that lives in data.world, and a curated collection of information along with metadata that a person can go and evaluate. And I can look at all these different tables with samples. I can get profiling information to get sample values to see the shape of this data. Because we have a built-in data set layer, which is separate from just the overall inventorying of all the data and analysis in your inventory, you can create different data set views of your data. So obviously we looked at just the full 124 tables of Snowflake, but often what we find is very powerful and important for organizations is to curate down to a subset of data which is cleaned up, which is the most useful representation of that information. And that's kind of what I'm showing you here, and that there might be 4 key files, maybe even joined together so it's more ready and cleansed for analysis. It's ready to go, that you go and expose. You provide that Amazon-like shopping experience for data. And when somebody sees this and says, this is what I need for my analysis, maybe they want to go and look at some discussions too to see what people are saying about it. Do they endorse the use of this data? They say, excellent, this is the data I need. Let me go and hit request access and get access to that data. So you've seen sort of the inventory elements here. You've seen sort of the data set elements. The last thing I want to show you before we transition over to Q&A is this concept of projects, which I think especially in this time where we're working remote, we're trying to coordinate with each other. One of the key elements that we see happens is that you may find some data that you need. You may find some existing analysis, but now you need to work together with other team members, and you need to actually document how you're solving this problem so that people can understand the context of how you got there and how this should actually impact how you're doing business. And so you can see an example here of a project where Bob has gone and said, hey, this is the business problem that we're trying to solve. We're trying to determine, should we offer free shipping to accelerate our sales on it through our online platforms? This is the data that I used for my analysis. And here are the different graphics that I created, the different data visualizations that helped me solve this problem. And now here are our next steps. And you can see that there's actually data sources tied to this. There's different people that are tied to this as part of the discussion that were able to participate in this analysis, even people who were not data analysts themselves, people that don't know how to write SQL queries, right? People like Mary who just want to ask business questions and collaborate with stewards and engineers and analysts to try to solve these different business problems. That's one of the key things about data.world is that you don't have to be an analyst to become part of the data conversation. But for those who are versed in things like SQL, just know, and I won't spend too much time on this because I want to move on to the Q&A, we have a fully powered built-in workbench that allows you to work with these different data sets that you have access to, that allows you to actually go and explore and use this data, write fully powered SQL queries around them so you can do some of your exploratory analysis here. But obviously, one of the first things that you want to do is you want to hop over to your tools of choice. So obviously, although we have our built-in sort of lightweight data visualization capability, you like Tableau, you like Python, you like Excel, you like Jupyter, you can quickly jump into those tools and use those tools. So in conclusion, you've kind of seen the ability to connect to and crawl a bunch of different data sources. You've seen the ability to curate and elevate these different data sets, which become sort of those Amazon-like shopping experiences around the key and most important data. And then finally, projects, which allow you to bring different people together, collaborate in real time, and actually, for those who can work with the data, work directly with the data to answer those business questions.